the supporters. So, speakers today, Brume. Let me start with Peter Obi people. They led uh, the Star Wars last week. Priye. All right, Diary of a Mom.
Hi, DaddyFreeze.
Just we are dreadlocked today. Looking fine. Team Atiku. Hey, and this guy sent me Olu. Okay, Olu for Team Ashiwaju. Olu for Team Ashiwaju. Let me invite. And I know Musti sent me his own guy, official Abubakar. Oh, Chief Olu. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Shial Abubakar. Official Abubakar Shuaibu. Shuaibu Jimeta. Yes. Yes. So everybody, wow, this is the quickest I've gotten everybody. Everybody's ready today except me. Oh, Star Wars has already started. Big shout out to Henry Ukoha.
I'm on. Hello.
I could see you. I could see you. The bass bros, the love, the loving kindness, the gist. Everyone
Yeah.
is ready. Today's topic is the economy. Big shout out. On somebody's mic. I can see you. The bass bros. Can you? If there's another phone with you, reduce it, please. So last week, big shout out to Team Peter Obi. They won the Star Wars. Star Wars is not part of the debate, but we show a lot of appreciation. And whoever wins Star Wars gets a plaque for that week where we say thank you to that team and their principal and everybody who is part of that team. So Team Peter Obi was well celebrated last week. This week, Team Tinubu did very well last week, but they just didn't win. Peter Obi people were ready. They were vexing. They were angry. Team Abubakar, that used to do so well before. One single star they did not buy last week. But it is good. It is well. It's a fresh opportunity. Stars are bought via my Facebook page. I encourage you to buy. Does not take away the content of the debate. DaddyFreeze does not judge the debate. The debate is judged by the public. Sometimes it takes 3 days for them to come up. So far, they've not come up with a result structure, but I think we're going to set up a panel of judges. But my fear is I don't want there to be INEC inside the team of judges, so the team will be supporting one. Let there be proper non-INEC panel of judges that will sit down and say, okay, according to the answers this week, the best debating team was team so and so, or everybody was a tie, or 2 teams had a tie, and we need that. So I don't know, you guys are going to agree in the leadership forum how we're going to have a panel of judges that at the end of every debate, they will now talk. The next debate, they will now announce the, because I'm sure people actually need to sit down, look at facts, discuss with one another to make sure the debate is going quite well. So God bless you all. Welcome. Obedience, articulated, and Ashiwaju's people. One thing we need to talk about today is the economy. The economy. Someone said, who's Team Showore? Sadly, we don't have a representative for Team Showore because we had already started the debate and had gone far before we were able to get a Team Showore. But right now, over to you guys. Who goes first? I know that's always the... Who goes first?
I know I'm going last because we're first last week, so I'm back at the bottom of the queue. So I think it's Atiku that goes first.
I'll go first if that's okay. I'll go first.
Yeah, Atiku goes first this week. Yeah.
Now, who picked the topic? Because I've come to realize that these are very important things that we cannot take for granted. Who picked the topic?
It's Team Tinubu that picks the topic, which is economy.
Who picks the topic?
Yeah. Tinubu.
No, next week will be picked by Team Atiku. This week is Team Tinubu. Then upper week Team Obi.
Peter Obi. All right. As usual, I'm going to interject with questions from time to time, and the questions will go to all the teams. If you're interested in asking questions, I have some questions, but just to make it open and free and fair, if you're interested in asking any question, send me a DM on Instagram, a message on Facebook. You see me bending now, looking through my phones. I'll be reading through your questions, and whichever question is spot on, I will throw it to the candidates in the order in which they answer questions. So once again, questions will be thrown to Atiku, Tinubu, and Obi. This changes every week. So sometimes you feel that your candidate is at disadvantage because while they're struggling to answer the questions, the other ones are Googling. Just know that 3 weeks from now, it will be the turn of those ones that are having fun today. So we try to make things as fair as possible for any input, anything. Do you feel that we're not doing things well enough? Do you feel that there's a better way to do things? Send me a DM. I do read my DMs, but if you beg me for money, I will not read your DM. So once again, if you're buying stars on Facebook, indicate your team. If you buy 1,000 stars, just write Atiku or Obi or articulated or obedient. Any phrase that we know is your team principals phrase or your team supporters phrase, please go ahead. Before we start, I want to throw a quick question across before we even start talking about the economy. ASU protest. This is a 30-second question starting with Team Atiku. ASU protest. Airports were shut down yesterday, and the students were complaining bitterly about ASU. If your principal were president, what would you advise him to do? And how would he be able to solve the ASU crisis? Over to you, Team Atiku. Very quick. It's going to come round, then we go straight to everybody else.
Okay, thank you very much, DaddyFreeze and co-debaters. I think the protest was actually an unfortunate incident. It shouldn't have ever led to that. But here we are today, and thank God my principal, one of his 5 agenda that he has set out, education is one of it. And I believe my principal would have not allowed it to reach this point. He would have found a negotiating point with ASU to ensure that students are back in school. 7 months plus. So you can't blame the students for protesting and why they are where they are, because at this particular moment, there is even no date for reconciliation. So I think negotiation and reconciliation are totally gone off the roof. And I assure you that my principal would have not allowed it to come to this point, because education is one of his key priorities and what he wants to focus on. Back between 1999 to 2007, they had a policy in their government to ensure that every child goes to school. So it wouldn't have gotten to this point. So,
all right, 1 minute,
yeah,
30 seconds to a minute is what I would expect to your answers to be. Over to you, Tim Tinubu.
Yeah, basically, I will just apply, we will apply the same principle that we apply in Lagos. Lagos State University has never been on strike now, you know, for so many years. What did they do? Very simple. Do you understand? Make them independent.
So
Make
LASU is going to school right now.
Is on, they are on session.
LASU
So
is
what
on
we
session.
Yes. So what we are saying
is on session now.
Yes. So what we are saying, the best way to handle this thing is make them independent, make them autonomous, and give them subvention. Do you understand? Education is actually not cheap. Do you understand? We need to begin to cultivate the habit of giving students loan and the rest. Because you see, what is causing this problem is 2009 agreement. Part of the problem they are having now is 2009 agreement. That is still what is still reverberating now. 2009 agreement, and the fact that ASU said they don't want to be under IPs. They have their own payment platform they want to use, you know, for government to be paying them. You understand? Number one, if we continue to maintain this approach, strike will continue. Do you understand? And secondly, not only strike continue, secondly, we will continue to get a low quality education. Do you understand? We'll continue to get a low quality education because education itself is not cheap. We need to begin to cultivate the habit of giving student loan, to give student loan and all those things. Let the university, let them be autonomous. Let them be independent. Let them be able to manage the school themselves. So that's just the way I look at it.
Thank you very much. Your 1 minute is done. I would love that to be fact-checked. Fact checkers, is LASU really on session? Is LASU still on session? Please, guys, let us fact check that. Thank you very much. Over to you, Team Obi. What would you do in a situation where students have blocked the airport? How would you handle that?
Thank you very much, DaddyFreeze, for that question. This is actually a very sensitive topic, and I'm glad that you brought it up. Unfortunately, the refusal of the government, the federal government, to prioritize education is why we're here. Prioritizing education doesn't mean increase in loans. It means increase in the facilities in the school, in the compensation of lecturers and workers that work in schools, and making the learning environment, would I say, convenient for the students. Nigerians are very bright, innovative, and what Nigerian youth do with their final year projects is ridiculous. You don't want to know how many things have been created simply by people going to the university, the higher institutions. So it would not even get to this point under my candidate because of the level of priority he has given education. Without a good educational system, we cannot advance. It will be delusional to think that we can grow as a nation if our people are not educated, and not just educated, educated at the right time, in the right place, under the right circumstances. With my candidate, it wouldn't get to this point because of the level of priority he has given education. And you can tell from Anambra State, they had a 22% education index increase at the time he was governor. So it's not rocket science. I keep saying it. APC is a colossal failure, and the current other candidates trying to dissociate themselves from the failure of the government is, I don't know, it's weird because APC cannot deliver Nigeria from APC. Or Atiku was in APC and he was instrumental to Buhari becoming president. But that being said, my 1 minute is up. If we don't prioritize education, it will deteriorate like this.
That was a warm-up question. That was a warm-up question. Thank you all so much for the answers. I'm still trying to fact-check if ASU is really on session. I found out that River State University is on session. So guys, over to your questions. We're buying stars on Facebook. If you want to support us, people have started buying stars. We have Henry Ukoha, who bought stars. To buy stars, come over to my Facebook page. Right under the video, you can see how to buy stars. So 3, 2, 1. We're starting with a 5-minute time limit, if I'm correct. 5-minute time limit. Everybody is going to tell us about the economy. So starting from Team Atiku Abubakar, we take pride in the fact that our timing is very, very accurate on this particular show. Your time starts now. You've got 5 minutes.
All right, thank you very much. The topic today is very interesting, and first things that I would like to state is that the economy of any country is the driving force of that economy, and it's what keeps that country afloat. Presently, at the moment, the economy of Nigeria is in shambles. One of the major issues that is affecting the economy is the insecurity that we have, right? Businesses are closing down. There is no power. Diesel is expensive. The environment and policies do not make companies and organizations to be able to be at work. Now, in every economy, the private sector should be the driving force or should be the lead. In every developed economy, the private sector should be the main contributor. The government should be mainly policies, regulations, and ensuring that this all businesses thrive and people are employed and the GDP increases and all the indices are in favor of the country. Now, coming back to economy based on my own principle. My own principle believes in the power of capital and entrepreneurship to transform Nigeria. One, by saying that, what does that mean? He wants to provide the enabling environment in terms of ensuring that there is security and enabling policies that will make industries thrive and private sectors to grow and invest in Nigeria. By so doing, you are going to create employment, you are going to improve your GDP, and you're going to lift a lot of people out of poverty. So one of his main focus is ensuring that we grow our private sector, which is very key. Most of our private sectors, most especially our manufacturing industry and production industries. And for us to have a better economy, we have to produce. The population of Nigeria is so huge, and that is what is affecting our GDP. That is why you find smaller countries with smaller population with higher GDP because of the population. So for us to take care of our huge population, being the largest population in Africa, for us to take care of that economically is to ensure we have the right policies and the right environment to attract investments and grow our private sector. By doing that, more people would be employed, because right now the government is actually overburdened by employment. A lot of government agencies right now, you find out that 10 people are doing the job of 1 because they just need to create. So it's making no impact. And that is affecting our economy because now recurrent expenses have so far superseded and gone beyond our capital expenditures. So it doesn't make sense economically. So what my own principle wants to do is to ensure we develop this private sector. Let me give you an example of some of the examples that he brought up. Automobile and textile industries alone can give millions of Nigerians job opportunities, produce for Nigeria, and create wealth for Nigeria. And that alone, for example, we as the present government is spending almost ₦1 billion a day on humanitarian and feeding allowances, money that you are spending, that you probably loaned, and you're not bringing in any amount back. If you're spending that kind of money, why don't we revitalize these industries in terms of bailouts? That is when you are spending money, creating jobs and opportunities, and bringing back wealth into the country. And by then, we would also even be in a situation whereby we would be exporting, not just within the shores of Nigeria, the West African countries, and so on and so forth within. That is what my principal wants to do. That private sector-driven economy is his plan. And I believe that is really what will take us out of where we are. Check the indices of every developed country. It is private sector-driven. And what he wants to do is to create that enabling environment that will not just ensure our own citizens build up private sector, but also attract foreign investments. And by doing so, the indices will change in terms of GDP, in terms of the value of the naira, in terms of job creation and wealth for the populace, and in terms of security. Because once people have jobs to do, you be rest assured that crimes will dive down, if not die completely. You cannot probably eradicate crime completely, but most of the insecurity of what is going on is due to the economic situation of where we are at now. And his 5-point agenda: economy, education, security, unity, and devolving of resources. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to the second team. That is Team Tinubu. 5-minute time limit. Let's go. The economy.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Yeah. Now,
yeah,
the wealth and resources of any country, you know, in terms of production and consumption, that is what is called economy. That's what defines your economy. Now, one of the greatest indices to measure economic growth is called GDP. In fact, that's the greatest. Your gross domestic product. Do you understand? In the last 7 quarters, Nigeria has witnessed growth. Do you understand? In our GDP, in fact, the last quarter, it was 3.5% growth Nigeria has witnessed. So our economy is actually growing in that GDP, in that regard. Do you understand? So, however, that is not my take here. So I'm going to be talking about 4 different indices of economic growth. Do you understand? And look at how these candidates have fared in the past. Do you understand? I don't have anything to say about Atiku really, because Atiku has never, managed any economy of Nigeria before. He was just a vice president. So I will look at people who have been governor, what they have done, and all that. In terms of GDP, you understand, Lagos State has been maintaining #1 position in GDP since 1999. Anambra was number 16 in GDP. They are number 16. In fact, Lagos was #1. Oyo State was doing better than Anambra. Ogun State was doing better than them. Ondo State was doing better than them. Osun State was doing better than them. They are number 16. Even Abia was doing better than them. And it's obvious, because when you look at the rate of production going on in Abia, you will understand why they are ahead of Anambra in terms of GDP. So, and another area I would like to look at is internally generated revenue. Do you understand? Obi performed abysmally low. I mean, it is the worst performance in the history of Anambra, what Obi did when he was governor. In 2003, May 2003, Ngege was the governor of Anambra, and he was doing internally generated revenue of 3.6 billion. In 2005, the team moved to 7.4 billion. But when Obi took over in March 2006, from 7 billion, he brought down their IGR to 4.6 billion. 27, 6 point something billion, 28, 6.6 billion. And when, going on down like that, in 2010, Anambra was doing 7.6 billion in IGR, while in 2011, they come down again 6.3 billion. You can't be a governor and you cannot be able to generate revenue, and your revenue is dropping yearly. That is a colossal failure on your own part. And throughout his tenure, he was able to do 18%. That is the only growth Anambra was able to get throughout the 8 years of Obi. But when you look at Tinubu take Lagos State IGR from partly 600 million to 7 to 8 billion. That's almost like 7,500%. And you see, one of the problems Nigeria is facing today is how to generate revenue. Because we are not having problem of debt to GDP as we speak right now. We are having a problem of debt to revenue. So our debt to GDP is about 29.something%. So which means we have the capacity to generate revenue, but we are not doing that at the moment. So you need somebody who has the technical competence, the capability, who has done it before in generating revenue, which is some of what Tinubu has done. And aside that, you know, the process of digitalizing Lagos economy is another reason why their revenue went up. I will go into details of that when we want to talk, when we are having Ributa and the rest. Then number 3 is ease of doing business. You cannot grow any economy if your ease of doing business is very poor. Do you understand? When Atiku was the vice president, Nigeria was at 170 in ease of doing business in the world. But as of today, we are ranking at 131. But let me face Obi. Obi was, in 2010, Obi was doing 27. It was number 27 in Nigeria. Obi was number 27, while Lagos is at 8, number 8 in ease of doing business. And the same thing in 2014 when he's about to leave office. Obi was doing 23. He was number 23 in Nigeria. He was ranked number 23 in ease of doing business. So if you cannot, while Lagos was ranked number 4, so if you cannot find it very easy to do business in Anambra, how are they going to have business there? Even to enforce contract, Obi Anambra was number 31 in Nigeria, you know, in enforcing contract. That is why you see Lagos has one of the best judiciary system in Nigeria today. So you can easily enforce your contract. These are some of the things that help you in growing your economy. Lastly, wealth creation. I will talk about wealth creation. You see, let me tell you something. I've mentioned it here how Eko Atlantic City, for example, was created. This is a place that was about to be submerged. Do you understand? And Tinubu turned this liability into asset. We have Eko Atlantic City, which is one of the most expensive, you know, city in Nigeria today. Look at Lekki Free Trade Zone, which was started in 2006. You know, today in Lekki Free Trade Zone, we have Lekki Deep Sea Port, which is going to create almost over $200 billion in revenue generation and create an employment of over 170,000 people. So that is how to create wealth, and that's how to grow economy. You understand what I'm saying? You know, also, you look at it that in 2001, Lagos State invested 4 billion, 3.9 thereabout in Econet. And by the time they are cashing out from that investment, they were making 19 billion from that investment. 19 billion. That is how you create wealth. Obi invested Anambra money in South Miller. He invested 1.9 billion, which is an equivalent of $12.6 million. You understand? In South Miller. And as of today, as of 2006, 2022, that investment has crashed to $5.3 million. From $12 million to $5.3 million. That investment has crashed. And you can imagine how much it is today. All right, thank you.
I'm up. Finally, Team Obi, because everybody had an extra 1 minute, you're going to get an extra 1 minute too.
All right, thank you very much, DaddyFreeze. Good morning, good evening, DaddyFreeze, fellow debaters, and all concerned citizens as myself. Today's topic is on the economy of Nigeria, and you know, you can't talk about economy without defining economics. Economics, according to Leonard Robbins, is the science that studies human behavior as a relationship between end and scarce means which have alternative uses. You cannot speak about economic prosperity without mentioning management. With the absence of systems that lead to optimization of resources and the continuous cycle of waste through embezzlement of public funds and diversion of resources, we cannot thrive. The current economic situation is a result of decades of failed leadership, that we can obviously measure through the way resources leave the shores of Nigeria unaccounted for, the blatant disrespect for public resources by the government, the incompletion of projects that are meant to boost infrastructure and the quality of life of our people, and the overall decline in productivity as a nation. The primary factors that influence economic growth are in a modern economy, are labor, fiscal capital, natural resources, technology optimization, security of lives and property, strong research inputs, balance of trade, and a viable market. Now, I have a comparative performance table here. Because it's easy to throw around figures, but then when you measure percentages, you see a whole different view to it. The GDP of Lagos State was $83 billion as of 2007 when Tinubu was leaving. And Anambra's was $13.5 billion when Obi was leaving. But then the HBI in Lagos only grew by 3.28%, and the HBI in Anambra grew by 15%. The gross national income per capita was 3.7% in growth, but in Anambra in 2014, when Obi was leaving, was 4.5%. The education index dropped in Lagos when Tinubu was leaving, and he left it at with a minus 0.1% decrease. Meanwhile, we had a 22.5 increase in our education index in Anambra. Or is it debt? 27 billion was left in Lagos's treasury, and over 100 billion in debt, but 91 billion in the treasury of Anambra State, with just 3 billion in debt. The key performance indicators of our economy, have been on a downward trend since, and the installation of this government has not helped. Assisted by Atiku Abubakar, you cannot dissociate him from it. It is useless to address the economy from the perspective of IGR. IGR is completely useless if the revenue does not translate to an improvement in the standard of living of the people. The excuse of an increasing population is also dead on arrival, because we've witnessed countries like China with a population of 1.4 billion people that have harnessed their human resource capital by positioning itself as the supply chain hub of the world, and also boosting production utilizing that very large labor force. Any candidate that refuses to acknowledge these indices has no business in the apex office of Nigeria. Eba, Gari, beans, and dodo are not metrics. You cannot have over 100 million people in poverty and be talking about increased taxation. You must boost their output capacity before you can expect them to frequently pay taxes. These other candidates are refusing to address these issues because a turnaround from the current status quo does not serve their selfish interests. We need an intellectually sound and serious-minded president, and not another clueless individual that will waste our 8 years. Peter Obi is ready to engage and seek solutions instead of glamorizing oneself. Through Peter Obi's multiple engagements, we've heard many times that we need to transition from consumption to production and stop being import reliant and attain that balance of trade that we need to develop as a nation. We need to lower our debt profile, and Peter Obi has addressed this by indicating that he will improve on human capital and also encourage innovation so that we can be more productive and now self-reliant. With the knowledge of the current state of the Nigerian economy, it is disrespectful for any candidate to be speaking through proxies at the moment. We are tired of glossy paper manifestos created by third parties, made up of content that the candidates themselves cannot read. We need common sense. Nigeria has always put its worst foot forward and best foot backwards, but now the youth is ready to put our best foot forward through Peter Obi. Security will be prioritized and dealt with decisively under Peter Obi, and they will be no longer walking on eggshells and negotiating with terrorists. Peter Obi is not one to shy away from issues arising. And with reference to the successful ANITS program Peter Obi implemented in Anambra, called from the MDGs, that Anambra is still benefiting from today, Peter Obi will definitely adopt it on a national level. As we can see, Nigeria is behind on all its MDGs. Everyone listening to me today, the power lies within us. We must exercise our power to choose leaders who represent the interests of the Nigerian people. Who will you employ to run your economy? You have APC, who have failed woefully, and you had 16 years of PDP. PDP did absolutely nothing. In fact, they set the trajectory for where we are today. Vote for Peter Obi of the Labour Party for the president of Nigeria come 2023, and let's begin this journey of restructuring our system instead of wasting years and wasting our youth. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. Rebuttals loading next. But I need to shout out, big shout out to Sandra Ghana. Sandra Ghana bought 6,400 stars. Sandra, what team do you support? Because looks like whatever team you're supporting is already leading. 6,400 stars. Big shout out to Sandra Gama. Sandra Gama, I want to know what team you are supporting. Sandra, what team are you supporting? Please reach out to me. Her other name is Binta Ghana, so let me see if I can reach out to her. Binta Ghana. Hello, sis. What team are you supporting? All right, Sandra Gama. If you can respond. Okay, she's read my message, so I'm waiting. So whatever team she's supporting is taking a lead right now, and that was a good one. So your stars. Okay, she says she picks Team Obi. Wow, another week looking sharp for Team Obi. Priya is pretending like she doesn't care, but this is a very beautiful way for Team Obi to shine again. Another week, get that plaque, be appreciated. So big shout out to Sandra Ghana, supporting the team that many people seem to love. Team Tinubu did so well last week. Team Tinubu, here's your opportunity to collect that space back. Team Atiku, you've been leading previous weeks. Last week, you didn't show. This week, you are not showing. You cannot sit down and allow Team Obi to just bamboozle you again this week. Oh. Let there be some uniform distribution now. Make una dey share one week. You don't reach your turn, Team Obi, last week. You won't do a Miloko again this week. All right, guys, do support by buying stars on Facebook. Team OB is leading. Let's see how that pans out. Smiles, jokes, love is all we share here, and we move over to rebuttals. Another 5-minute time limit. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're ready, let's do this. All over to Team Atiku. Rebuttals. 5-minute time limit. Here goes.
Thank you very much. I think that DaddyFreeze, the bath was almost started before time. In some of my co-debaters' presentation, and I think for me my takeout on that was based on the question was for you to talk about what your candidate was going to do about the economy. But I saw a bit of shots being taken that this person did that, this person did that, and not. But all the same, like I said, we're still talking about the economy. And what we are talking about here is how do we move from where we are right now? The economy is in shambles, and a need to change that. Yes, whether we like it or not, Nigeria is the most populous nation. I would like to tell you that population still is an indices of your economy. You have to take that into consideration because that is what contributes to your GDP. For Nigeria to grow, we have to produce. Right now, we are consumers rather than producers. And that is why today, the value of the Naira is where it is. And I mentioned earlier that my principle, the main structure of what he wants to do in fixing the economy is providing a comprehensive objective by providing that hospitable environment for investors to invest in the country and produce. We are looking at industries that have failed and collapsed that are major contributors to our economy. And like I mentioned, I took examples of 2 major industries. And those 2 major industries alone can employ millions of Nigerians. I want to give you an example to what those industries can do. Like I told you, the automobile and the textile industries. Alone, those industries are cut across all over the country, and most of them are dead now. In 2008, let me give you an example on how important those industries are. In 2008, when President Obama came into power, one of the first things he did, America was in recession at that time, was to give bailout to the automobile industries in America because they were one of the major employers of labor and exporters of manufactured goods. Once upon a time in this country, one of the automobile companies had a production capacity of over 250,000 vehicles per annum. Today, we import vehicles fully built, employing other people in other countries that are in those plants manufacturing those cars. So all these things are killing us. And what we need to do, or what my principal is saying, is that we need to have a private sector driven economy. And by doing that, he wants to have the enabling environment. Now, it's not just about security, but you have to have policies that will be able to back your industries to thrive. If you have companies that are now producing, but you don't have the right policy to protect their business, and you allow your borders for importation, they are likely to come in cheaper, making your businesses in-house to not be affordable for Nigerians. And that is what he wants to change. That is what he wants to bring up, those policies that will cater for those indices. And once you have those indices available and you have a private sector driven economy, you will have more Nigerians working from all cadre. Meaning that at all those sectors now, there will be different people with different qualifications, depending on the scenario that you are in, whether it's you are a degree holder, a secondary school holder, or a diploma holder. There will be levels at which everybody should be able to do something and create wealth for themselves. And by doing that, that means you've created individual wealth for your citizens. That means your citizens can be able to afford more. That means your GDP has increased. And if you are producing, it means apart from local consumption, you are now going to export, thereby creating foreign exchange for you, now appreciating the value of Naira. And that is exactly what my principal is saying he wants to do with the economy, by driving that private sector driven economy. Thank you very much. I hope I'm within time.
You are within time. Round it off. All right. Time for Team Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Over to you.
Okay. I'll just tell you a brief story. I just want to tell you a brief story. You know, let me go first with the IGR. Do you understand? One of the things Tinubu did in Lagos to promote IGR then was to computerize the whole of Lagos State operations. You understand? I was part of the people that did the global computerization in Lagos. So look at my face very well. If you go to Lagos Civil Service, they will tell you that they know this person. Do you understand? Now, when we are deploying the HR payroll module, there is something significant that happened. We faced resistance when we were doing it. But Tinubu put his feet down that it must be done. And people must do biometric and all that. Do you know what happened, sir? Over 300 million naira was saved from that exercise alone. Over 300 million naira. Because we now discover ghost workers. We were able to also see, you know, a whole school, a whole secondary school with principal, with teachers and everything. Do you understand? Collecting salary. Meanwhile, that school does not exist. We were able to deploy and find out all those things. You know, those are ways to cut waste and cause corruption. This is what happened in Lagos. And they make sure that every revenue generating point, you understand, they were able to deploy technology to generate revenue. And we also embrace informal sector. That is what increased Lagos State revenue. We didn't increase tax, they didn't increase tax. So that was basically what happened. Which Obi does not, I show you Obi trajectory here when revenue was dropping. Revenue was dropping. That's a disaster. You can't be a governor and you don't know how to generate revenue. It's a disaster. When your revenue is dropping and your expenditure is increasing by 50%, I have the right figure for everything here. If it's to quote figure, I will quote figure for you. And when we talk about VAT, value added tax, Lagos State contributes almost 50.5% in value added tax to the nation. Do you understand? Do you know the funniest thing? Let me tell you very funniest thing you need to know. Ebonyi used to be the poorest state in Nigeria. Guess what? Right now, as we speak, Ebonyi is contributing more in VAT to Nigeria than Anambra as we speak. The last contribution they have was 7.9 billion, while Anambra was doing 5.4. Do you understand what I'm saying? What changed? Infrastructural development. Obi said infrastructure does not translate into economic development. That's what changed. That's what changed with Ebonyi. They are providing infrastructural development and people are coming in. Secondly, let me also lay emphasis on this web creation I was talking about. Remember, I talked about Eco Atlantic City. For those of us who are in Lagos, who are born in Lagos, you will know that that Bar Beach area used to be a disaster. There is flooding in all those areas. You understand? And he was able to create city out of it. Lekki Free Trade Zone is another good example. We have Dangote Refinery there now. We have Lekki Deep Sea Port there now. We have so many companies. Over 50 companies are in Lekki Free Trade Zone as we speak. That is a visionary leader. That's a man that knows what he's doing. Lekki Free Trade Zone started in 2006. Madam talk about Human Capital Index. I'm putting it up to you today. If Obi did better than Tinubu in Human Capital Index, I will switch over to you today. The highest Human Capital Index Anambra has, you know, was in 2019, and that is 0.668. Lagos has been number one in Human Capital Index today. They are doing 0.686. So if you can prove to me that Obi did better for just one single year, they were ahead of Lagos State in Human Capital Index, I will cross over to your side today. It is not possible. And I'm telling you from a fact and from the figure here. Do you understand? The highest they have done is 0.668, and that was in 2019 on Human Capital Index. Don't come here and be giving fake figures. I have figures for everything I'm telling you here. It is not manufactured. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is basic. For Atiku, you know, Atiku was in charge of privatization. I just want to mention one thing. Ascom was valued as 3.5 billion naira. That is the value of Ascom. Do you know how much Atiku sold Ascom? 130 million USD. 130 million USD. When we get to Gbasgbos, I will tell you what happened to Ascom when Atiku sold Ascom for $130 million. A company that is 3.5 billion, you sold it for 130 million. You know, Obasanjo said something about Atiku, which is a summary of what I'm going to say about Atiku. He said, The resources Atiku stole can feed 300 million Nigeria in 400 years. That is in my watch, page 31. Is there. My watch, page 31. That is the only thing OBJ can say about Atiku. Do you understand what I'm saying? So those are the issues, you know, that it's, you know, and I talk about Obi investing $12.6 million in Sam Miller. And at the end of the day, that investment is worth less than $5 million today. That is not the kind of person you will say should manage Nigeria economy. Do you understand? That's not the kind. You talk about corruption. Even the Sam Miller we are talking about is a family business. His family has an interest in it. That is a textbook definition of corruption. We are talking of economy here. You are bringing education. This is how you mix up things. That's why we are having problems. Sri Lanka is in problem today. It is not because of their education. It is because their economy has collapsed. You guys should argue on fact, on the basis of what we are discussing today. Tinubu has the capacity to generate revenue. Okay, thank you.
All right, over to you, Team Obi.
Thank you very much, DaddyFreeze. In order not to waste the time of those viewing with jargons, I posted the metrics on my page and the source. So anybody that has objections to it, go to the source and tell them that their statistics are wrong. It is delusional to detach APC, Tinubu from APC. APC is Tinubu and Tinubu is APC. My fellow Nigerians, you're all watching me. You know the standard of living you're facing. You know how hard it is to make ends meet. You know the amount of inflation you're facing. You know how hard it is to afford essential goods and services. Economy and economic issues are common sense as well. We all can testify to how bad our country is. Don't let anybody bamboozle you with projects that we cannot pinpoint. At a point, Peter Obi was the best governor in Nigeria, and he was in a minority party, APGA, and he won that award. Everybody knows also that Peter Obi was embattled at least for the first 3 years as a governor because of his court case. But when he settled into office, given 2010 to 2014, he performed excellently well by building the road networks, introducing industries, building the healthcare, and developing the healthcare of the nation, and developing education. You cannot minimize the importance of education because of the effect it has on our human resource capital. Anybody that tries to detach the two and bamboozle you with IGR is a joker, because a state that makes money and doesn't do anything is wasting your time. You say the HDI of Lagos is high, but people are vacating their homes in Apapa because of the disaster at the port. You say, oh, Lagos has, and for goodness sakes, has Tinubu been the governor since 1999? Or are you openly admitting to godfatherism? Was there no Fashola? Was there no Ambode? Is there no Sanwo-Olu? How come you keep saying last year, this year, when your principal left office in 2007? This whole thing seems like a joke in the end, you know, it's like a joke. But in order not to waste your time, as I said, dear viewers, everything boils down to common sense. You know how you used to live. You know the passion we all grew up with in Nigeria. You knew how good education was, and you know what it is now. You can see the difference. And when you check the statistics across the board, different sites and different sources, you will see the percentage increases. And they are there for you. It's public. Don't let anybody fool you. And don't detach APC and their horrible performance in the last 7 years from these two candidates, because they were instrumental to this government being installed. Anybody trying to detach themselves now is just playing politics with your life. So we must talk about the key issues, which is security of lives and property that we cannot brag about, and the current state of the economy, because people are suffering. So I would not entertain all of that. I have metrics on my page because I knew some noise would come up. Thank you very much.
All right. Big shout out to the star buyers. Hey. Joseph Nantoma of Atiku just came. Saw that Peter Obi people have been doing well. 6,400 stars. Joseph Nantoma jumped in with 2,500 stars. By the way, Joseph Nantoma is the black mentor. Then he jumped in again with 2,500 stars. So Joseph Nantoma has raised the bar for Atiku, who were absent totally last week. He has raised the bar. No,